What do little kids, marshmallows, and garage gyms have in common? Find out on today's episode of the GymCrafter podcast. Welcome back to the GymCrafter podcast, everybody. My name is Tim. I am the head gym nerd here at GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help ordinary folks build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And welcome to episode 15 of the GymCrafter podcast. I checked the stats the other day and I'm at almost 20,000 downloads for this show. It is absolutely crazy to me to think that 20,000 times somebody has tuned in to listen to my big bald head blab about home gym stuff. But man, I'm super appreciative that you guys do. As long as you guys keep tuning in, I'll keep making these episodes. It's kind of weird, but it's fun to do. And I've got a really cool episode for you guys today. And before we dig into the meat of the episode, I want to give you guys an update like I usually try and do. Not so much on the gym, but on my training. I'm still doing the functional power training program by Dr. John Russin. I still love it. I still think you should look at it if you're a kind of an intermediate to an advanced lifter. It is just an awesome program. But what I've never told you is why I'm doing a different program right now, and that's because I need to lose some weight. You know, one of the blessings of being tall is that when you gain weight, it doesn't really show, and that's a nice thing to have. However, it doesn't make your pants fit any better. So I am literally down to 2 pairs of pants that fit. I've got one that I can wear to church every day, and I've got the other pair on right now, and I'm not gonna go buy new pants. So I need to lose some weight, and I think I might be growing boobs. Not too sure, but I don't want to find out for sure. So it's time to lose some weight. And as everybody should know, resistance training is the best way to lose weight combined with diet. And for the first time in my 53 years on this planet, now I've lost 30 pounds or more several times in my life, so I'm no stranger to this position. However, this is the first time, and I think it's my age, that I'm having a hard time with the diet portion of it. It doesn't seem to be working for me, so I got an app. Because that's what you do these days, right? You get an app, and I'm trying out the Carbon Diet Coach app. It's by a guy named Lane Norton, somebody who I really love following on social media, all science-based stuff. He tends to stay away from like the trends and the trendy stuff. He does a lot of disproving of things that people actually like, so some people hate him, but I really like the guy, so I'm trying his app, and it's turning out to be pretty good so far. Basically, probably like most diet apps, you tell it what you want to do. You want to gain, lose, or stay the same, and then it figures out your calories for you, which is nice because I suck at math, and then it allots them over the week, and you can go into the week, which is really cool. I had a festival the other day that I was going to, and I knew I was going to eat my weight in brats and Italian sausage, so I upped the calories for that day. I took them out of the other day, so it's kind of cool that way. And then every day you log your food, something that I don't necessarily like doing, but this app's it's actually pretty easy. So it's been pretty painless so far. I've been on it for about 4 weeks. And then every week you check in on Sundays and you enter your average weight for the week. And then it tells you, hey, we need to raise or lower or keep these calories the same. And I've been losing about 1.5 pounds a week on it so far for the 4 weeks. So it's been really easy. I haven't really been too hungry. It's a nice sustainable rate of weight loss. And I'll keep checking in with that to let you guys know how it goes, because I know that a lot of people build garage gyms or they work out to lose weight, and it's always nice to have something that helps you along the path. And if this works, I'd be happy to recommend it to you. It's another thing that I'm not affiliated with. I'm not affiliated with the program. I just recommend it. I'm not affiliated with this, but I'll let you know if they work or not, so that maybe you can try them too. But with that said, let's get into the meat of the episode. And that is, have you figured it out yet? What do little kids, marshmallows, and building a garage gym all have in common? Well, in 1970, Stanford University did a famous experiment called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment, where they called kids into a room one at a time, and they put sometimes you hear this done with a cookie, because they've done this type of experiment more than once, but this one was with marshmallows. They put a marshmallow on the table, and they told the little kid, I think they were like 3 to 5 years old, if you want to eat the marshmallow now, you can. If you wait until I come back, because they were leaving the room, I will bring a second marshmallow, and if you wait, you can have 2 marshmallows. And one of a few things happened with these kids. A lot of the kids ate the marshmallow as soon as the person left the room, as 3 to 5 year olds are wont to do, right? Some of the kids actually waited, and they're like, I can wait and get 2 marshmallows, no problem. Other kids, which I thought was pretty funny, would eat parts of the marshmallow on the bottom and put it back and try and get some of this one. And I'm sure we all know people in our life like that. But the whole point was that they tracked who ate the marshmallow right away, and then who was able to delay gratification to get more down the road. And they tracked these kids throughout their whole life. And it's a pretty incredible correlation that the kids who were able to wait and eat 2 marshmallows down the road actually were much more successful in life. And the kids who just grabbed the marshmallow right away and just did it right now were much less successful in life, both in their careers, in their finances, in their relationships, just across the board. The people who were able to delay gratification were able to be more successful. So what does that have to do with garage gyms? Well, I've been talking to a lot of the folks that I've helped build garage gyms over the last bunch of years that I've been doing GymCrafter, and I've got to tell you that some of these folks have crafted some amazing gyms. I mean, stuff that I'm jealous of, things that you see on Instagram where you're like, oh man, I would love to work out there. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars spent on equipment. And so I've started asking these people, how did you get from where you started to where you are now? Unfortunately, one of the cruel tricks of social media is that we tend to want to compare our beginning to other people's middles or ends. So we go online and we see these great garage gyms and we don't see where they started. It's been really cool to see some of the guys online that I follow. Kurt from the Kurt Locker, Jonathan from No Fate 24/7 are two that come to mind right away. They've recently posted some of their original garage gym pictures, and it's just like a bare room with a couple pieces of equipment in it, and then you look at what they've got now and you're like, wow, that's really cool. I was looking back through some of mine. There's a picture right against this wall behind me. It was a different color at the time, of the first time I had moved most of my equipment into the garage, and it was this like body solid collapsible bench that could fold down and fit under a bed, my pair of power blocks, which is still right here, and then some resistance bands. And that was my first true garage gym. So it's neat to see where they start. And with the episode that I just did, episode 14, it was the last episode in the Buying a Rack podcast series that I did. And it was, buying right, what's that mean? And buying the right thing up front, which is gonna last you longer and expand down the road and is really the better choice. That really dovetails well with what I wanna talk about today, which is all of the people that I've talked to, all the people that I follow online, the people who have built the most impressive garage gyms didn't just run out and buy everything at once. Now, I was talking to Ryan from Force USA the other day because I've just shot a bunch of Force USA videos. You've already seen one drop on the channel. I've got a couple more coming up. And he was telling me that it just boggles his mind that he watches the carts and he'd see people going and they buy, a $5,000 all-in-one trainer, and then they would buy flooring, and then they would buy a couple $1,000 set of dumbbells, and then they'd buy, hundreds of dollars in weight plates, and he's like, they would just buy everything all at once. And as good as Force USA is, if it was me, I'm probably going to buy a barbell from one company and weights from another company, and we approach things a little bit differently. But I think the people that just build their cart all at once are kind of akin to those kids who just ate the marshmallow all at once. And when I look at the folks that I've helped build home gyms, I see a lot of people who they just get, and look, I get it. I love this stuff, right? I mean, you guys too, if you're watching me blab on about it, but it can be really exciting, right? To go, I'm gonna build a home gym. I finally got room in the garage. I got rid of a car, or I convinced my wife that I could park my car outside, or I convinced her to park her car outside, or I convinced my husband, and whatever it happens to be, you've got the space, you moved into a new house, it's time to build that gym, and you're like, I want this, and I want a rack, and I want weights, and I want 3 barbells, and I want a bench, and you go, oh, and my wallet doesn't agree with my plans right now. And so you either do one of two things. You do what I'm gonna talk about today, or what a lot of people do, unfortunately, is they buy a mediocre bench and a mediocre rack and a mediocre bar, and they end up with a mediocre gym that either they stop using because they don't enjoy it or the stuff wears out, or they end up buying a second bench and a second rack and a second bar. So what I want to talk about today is not only the fact that building your gym a piece at a time will net you a better gym in the long run, but there's some other benefits that go along with that. But I want to try and actually give folks who are building a home gym right now some concrete ideas of the steps you can take, what order those steps would be in, and then the most important thing in my mind, which is why we build a garage or a home gym in the first place, which is how to get great results no matter what stage of your garage gym build you're in. I think a lot of people, they make the mistake of, I need all of the stuff in order to get results, and that's absolutely not true. You can get great results from a minimal home gym while you're saving money to buy other stuff down the road. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to break it down to the specific steps of building a home gym, step by step, and I'm going to give you how to do it, specific examples of equipment that I would buy or that I've seen other people buy that work really, really well. I'll put links to everything down below. As usual, those are affiliate links, guys. This is how I run the channel. This is how I afford to do this full time. And if you see something here that you like, if you buy through those links, it doesn't cost you anything else, pays me a little bit of a commission, and it really helps out so that we can keep making stuff like this and we can move on to a lot more than just 15 podcast episodes. So thank you guys for who do that already, and thank you for anybody who does that in the future. It really does help out. And before I jump into the steps, I've got 2 important points to go over. First of all, Great tip that a lot of people always put in the comments. If you're not reading the comment section to the YouTube channel here, you're missing out on some great discussions, but this always comes up, which is one of the best ways to save money is to buy used, especially if you buy name brand used stuff. We're not going to talk about that today. Really, any step that I talk about, you could, insert whatever piece of gear I'm talking about and say buy that used. That is a great way to go, but I want to talk about kind of a different way to save money and a different way. Maybe you're not even really saving money, just a different way to spend your money and a different way to look at building your garage gym. The second thing, and this is one of the most important things in building a garage gym, you hear me talk about it all the time, but when I talk to folks who build garage gyms and then they train in them, it's something that a majority of people I talk to just don't do, but it's critical, and that's investing in professional programming. There is no substitute for having a professional coach show you what to do, tell you what to do, and program what you're supposed to do. It's one of those situations where you just don't know what you don't know. Even the best athletes in the world hire coaches. John Russin, who does the programming that I was talking about earlier, hired Dave Tate to coach him, who's if you don't know who that is, one of the world's best known powerlifters, owner of Elite FTS. And it doesn't matter who you are, you can benefit from a coach. I know Kurt from the Kurt Locker just won America's Strongest Veteran. Congratulations, Kurt. But I'm pretty sure he mentioned in one of his posts that he had worked with a coach to do that. There's really no substitute. So as we talk about building your gym step by step, the key to getting as much as you can out of each step is to pair up programming that matches the equipment and the stuff that you have so that you can get the most out of that stuff. I know a lot of people are fans of 5x5 or starting strength, and those programs are great, but they're super basic, they're super generic. While they will get you results, they won't get you the best results that you could possibly get over a long period of time, and especially if you don't have the equipment that they're talking about using. So I really want to focus on that during this episode, which is in addition to recommending the specific gear that I would buy at each step, or at least some suggestions, I'm also going to recommend here and there some programming that you can get that will make sure that you get the results. And one of the cool things about doing it this way is that as you build each step, if you have programming that gets you results, you can prolong how long you're in that step, which allows you to save more money, which allows you to buy better stuff in the next step, which allows you to have a much better gym in the long term. And that's the goal of this episode. If you take 3 days to build a gym and you build just a cart like I was talking about on Force USA, versus you take 6 months to a year to build a gym, in several years, you're not gonna look back and go, I'm glad I bought everything all at once. But you could very well look back and go, man, I wish I'd waited on this or waited on that. Some other benefits of doing it in this way, in addition to, once you've got that programming in place to get you results, is that it allows you to really think about what you're gonna want in your gym. One of the things that I see happen all the time when people buy a bunch of stuff at once, and I am 100% guilty of this, which is I buy a bunch of stuff and then I realize that I don't like using that stuff. I've got a mace right here, which is a great example of that. I got caught up in the mace bell fury of the early Onnit days and bought a bunch of maces and clubs, and I never used any of them because I hated them. So nothing against folks out there who love using that stuff, but if you kind of take your time and you wait for that second marshmallow down the road, then you end up realizing what you like, what you don't like, what's going to keep you more consistent. So with all that, let's get into step one of building your gym a piece at a time, and that is starting with a single minimal implement that is highly versatile, that you're going to be able to use in your gym no matter how long you have it, and that you can get some programming to go along with to actually get great results. And you can start working out, you can build the habit of working out, you can get used to working with programming, you can really learn that implement and maximize its utility. And then the longer you can do that, the more money you can save over time to get to step two. And one thing I'm going to recommend is please don't finance things. Now, I can't tell you how to spend your money or anything like that, but I can tell you that we work out for our health. And one of the worst things for our health is stress. And one of the worst things for our stress levels is debt. It doesn't make a ton of sense to go into debt to buy all of this stuff. I know a lot of people with $25,000, $30,000 credit card bills right now because they decided to buy an entire rogue gym all in one shot. And look, these guys can afford it, they're big kids, but if you can at all avoid it, the people who I know who are happiest are the people who paid cash for everything. And the longer you can prolong these steps with these minimal implements, the more cash you can save, the better stuff you can buy. But let's talk specifically about what some of these minimal implements might be, how you can use them, and then some programming to go along with them. Now, obviously you can just do body weight stuff, but we're talking about building a home gym. We're talking about buying cool gear. So I'm just gonna assume that you guys know you could do push-ups and body weight squats and pull-ups till the cows come home. You can build a heck of a body that way, but we wanna build a gym, right? So let's talk about 4 possibilities to start with just a minimal implement and how you might use it. The first highly versatile, simplistic implement that I want to go over is a sandbag. Now, when I first built my gym, one of the early things I bought was a sandbag. I bought it from Onnit, again, back when they were in the functional fitness craze. I think I bought everything that they made at that point, including all of their supplements, which is a story for another episode, my supplement addiction. But the sandbag really turned out to be cool. Now, this was called a battle bag, so it had several sets of handles all over it. You can get these from Rep Fitness now. That's probably where I would get them now. Rep Fitness sells them. I believe Fringe Sport sells them as well. Both of those companies are outstanding companies, and either place would be a good place. I'll put a link below to one that I would recommend. But these are really highly versatile implements that you can do squat variations, you can do lunge variations, you can do carry variations, you can curl them, you can press them, you can overhead press them, you can do dynamic ballistic movements with them, you can do all kinds of stuff with a sandbag. You can work out inside, you can work out outside. There's also another company called Freedom Strength Co., which makes a little bit different type of a sandbag. I know other people make them too, Rogue makes them like this, but I think Freedom Strength Co. probably is the best in the business as far as doing this. Plus they sponsor a lot of strongman competitions and really support the community. So if you decide to buy one like this, definitely check these guys out. I'm not affiliated, they're just a cool company. Really cool follow on Instagram if you want to see what to do with these giant, they're just giant sandbags that weigh, 50 pounds, 100 pounds. I've seen 300-pound ones for just monsters, and they get a great full body workout with those things. Sandbags are something fun that you can use, that you can integrate into your training no matter how big your garage gym gets. For this one, I don't have a specific program for you, but I know that there are some programs out there for sandbags. Maybe hit up Freedom Strength on their Instagram page. I'm sure they can point you to some sandbag programming, since that's the core of their business, but not expensive at all. You're literally just buying the outer bag. You go to your Ace Hardware or your Home Depot, you buy a couple bags of playground sand and you put it in there and away you go. It's super minimal, super inexpensive, and really, really versatile. So that's one thing I've seen people start with. They just start with that sandbag and then they progress their way from there. This is also a cool way to see if you like that type of training, whether you like strongman training or if you like, that more dynamic kind of functional fitness style training. This is going to get you a taste of that. And it's going to be able to be versatile enough to last you quite a while you're saving up for step 2 of the gym. So that's one of the initial implements that you could start with. The next implement I want to talk about is using a suspension trainer. Now, I personally wouldn't use a TRX. If you've already got a TRX, I've got one here. They're okay. There's a lot of problems with them. I wrote an article on GymCrafter about rings versus TRX, and I explained the differences and the reasons I don't like a TRX, so make sure and check that out. I personally would prefer somebody to start with a set of rings. And Olympic rings, you can buy them for 25, 30 bucks on Amazon. You can buy them for about the same price on Rep Fitness, Rogue. Everybody sells them, and they're super versatile. You can do tons of stuff on them. Again, they're not expensive. You can hook them over the top of your doorway. What I like to do is to pair them with a door-mounted pull-up bar. If you have a door-mounted pull-up bar and a set of rings, in just the space of your doorway, you have got a home gym that you could use that for years and never wear it out, never stop building strength. The cool thing about rings is they allow you, based on the angles that you use, to tailor the resistance. So if you're not strong enough to lift your whole body weight at first, you can really change things up. I was listening to an interview with Jocko Willink once, who's a pretty famous special forces guy, does a lot of podcasts, is on Joe Rogan all the time. But he said that, his number one recommendation for a home gym is a set of Olympic rings, because you can literally do all kinds of stuff on them and they're not expensive. So with that one, what I would use is now on the website on GymCrafter, and you'll start to see this on the channel soon too, I've done a ton of program reviews. And the company that I've reviewed the most programs from are the guys from the Mind Pump podcast. Their programs are called MAPS. I don't remember, it's muscular adaptation something or other. But they have a program called MAPS Suspension. It's a great program to use. It pairs up nicely with a suspension trainer. It's a 10 or 12 week program that you could just run over and over and over again if you wanted. But that's a great way to go. If you were to pair up a set of rings with that program, you would be able to train really effectively at home, especially like I said, if you add the pull-up bar, you can do pull-ups now. There's just a great combination of things to do, and that's really another basic setup that you could start with. Speaking of MAPS programs, they also have a program called MAPS Resistance Bands, or MAPS Bands, I think is what it's called, and resistance bands are another one. You could get a set of resistance bands. My current favorite set of bands is by a company called Living Fit. Everything I've gotten from them so far has just been outstanding. This is the best set of resistance bands that I've been able to put my hands on in a long time. I did put a review up on the channel of them. I did shoot a video on them, so you can go check that out if you want. I would not buy my bands from Amazon. You will be disappointed. They will snap, they will break, they will cause your hands to smell bad. There's just all kinds of problems with the Amazon stuff, and bands is one of the things I wouldn't buy from them. But a nice set of bands and a program to do bands. Also, Living Fit is another really good source of programs. They have a lot of programs, including for bands, where you can buy a single program for 20 bucks, or for like 15 bucks a month, you could subscribe to all of their programs, and they've got just a pretty big library of programming that you can do, that you can pair up with these smaller implements. And we're gonna talk about a couple more implements in a minute that they also make programming for. So if you don't wanna buy, I think MAPS Bands is like, I want to say it's like 75 or 80 bucks. So their programs are a little bit more pricey. Now those guys are trainers that have years and years and years of experience. They're definitely programs that will get you results. It's why I use them so often. But if you don't want to spend that, Living Fit has some quality stuff as well. And the nice thing about the Living Fit subscription is you can change programs up and you get access to a bunch of different things over time. So like we were talking about, kind of extending your gym build process over time. Getting something like that will allow you to make the most of these implements. And because their subscription has a ton of different implements in it, as you build your gym and add different things, you can now just use the programming you've already subscribed to. So that's a good combination as well. And the last one I want to talk about is how I started my gym, and that's with a single kettlebell. When I started working out at home, seriously, I went out and all I could afford was a single kettlebell. Unfortunately, I bought the Onnit Primal kettlebells, which aren't the best kettlebells to use. Don't make those your only kettlebells, please. They're super cool. They're sitting over here. They'll never leave my gym. I love having them. I do not use them to train with at this point. But that's what I bought. I bought their Chimpanzee because I wasn't strong enough to lift the Baboon. I couldn't tell you how much they weigh because they measure them in poods, which is the original measurement for kettlebells. I don't know how much a pood weighs. Somebody in the comments let everybody know what a pood weighs, but I think I started off with like the 1 or 1.5 pood weight, which is the Chimp. And I bought a book from Pavel Tsatsouline. Pavel Tsatsouline is the father of the kettlebell. He brought kettlebells to the United States. He's who popularized them and has started a bunch of different schools of kettlebell training. And I bought a book called Kettlebell Training, Simple and Sinister. It literally has 2 moves in it. These 2 moves I did every day for almost a year. I was able to work my way up to the orangutan. Again, don't know how many poods that thing was, but it was more poods. You want more poods, right? So I was able to work my way up and eventually even get another heavier kettlebell, but with just 1 or 2 kettlebells. I trained for at least a year, I think just under a year if I remember. I paired that with a jump rope for my cardio, but you could do kettlebell swings for your cardio and your conditioning, and that's just a great way to go. And that's what I did for almost a year. I did what's called Turkish get-ups and kettlebell swings, both 2-arm and single-arm swings, and you can really get a lot out of just that. Now, you can use any book by Pavel. Now, I wouldn't recommend any of his videos. His videos, I think, were shot in about 1973 sometime, or at least that's what it looks like. It's like maybe watching old jazzercise videos, plus he's kind of hard to understand and kind of awkward on camera. No offense, Pavel, if you're watching this, he's probably not, but I would stick to his books more than anything else. Also, Living Fit, ton of kettlebell training on their stuff. The owner of Living Fit was the guy who also started and then sold Kettlebell Kings, probably the best kettlebell company out there. So he really knows his stuff really well. Great programming over there. And then also the guys over from Mind Pump have something called Kettlebells for Aesthetics. So if you want to work out more for how you look than what your strength level is, then the MAPS Kettlebell for Aesthetics program is going to be a nice choice for you. But those 2 places, or those 3 places, are where I would go for kettlebell training. And that's your basics. Now, not everybody's going to need to start that basic, but I wanted to give everybody that step because I want to make sure you understand that you can find a very inexpensive way to start your gym and then save some money to buy something nicer down the road instead of having to just invest a bunch of money right off the bat. So the next step, and you might do this step right away, you might just wait like I said, but the next thing I think everybody should buy is adjustable dumbbells and a bench. Before you buy a rack, before you buy a bar, and I know I started my How to Build a Home Gym series with the series on how to buy a rack, but really I honestly think that if you were to start with a bench and a set of dumbbells, and my next series on the podcast is going to be how to buy a bench. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but I am going to address that because I do think that's one of the earliest purchases that you're going to make. But if you were to start with just a nice bench and then a set of adjustable dumbbells, boy, you could train for a really long time with that, and you wouldn't need to buy anything else for quite a while, and again, allows you to save up a bunch of money for that better stuff down the road. So which adjustable dumbbells? I honestly would only buy one of two. I would either buy the Repins, which are the Rep and Pepin collaboration from Rep Fitness. Personally, I would buy the heavier set, the 120-pound set, only because I think at some point, just like the kettlebell I was talking about, you're always going to end up wanting more weight. So having the one that's a higher weight to start off with is going to be helpful. Even if you don't need it up front, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Those are a great way to go. The other way I would go is power blocks. I've had power blocks for over 10 years. I absolutely love them. It's probably been longer than that at this point. And I really think that they're some of the best made, most durable, longest lasting adjustable dumbbells out there. I would not buy anything else. I don't think anything else is as good as those two. I don't think anything else is as durable as those two. And even if you find yourself saving some money, it's not going to be worth saving the money in the long run. I'm sure some people will argue with me in the comments below, but stick to one of those two and you'll be happy with what you bought. And that's what we want. We want you happy with what you bought. I would also buy a stand if you can. It's much nicer to have those things up off the floor, but a great way to save money at first is to not buy them with a stand. Now, as far as a bench goes, if you're on a budget, you can definitely go with a flat bench. I think flat benches are really underrated. I like the FB 5000 from Rep Fitness. I don't like the FB 3000 from them. It's their less expensive version because you want a bench with what's called a 3-foot design where you've got a single post at the base of the bench. And their FB 3000, as well as pretty much every bench on Amazon, has 4 feet, which you don't want. When I do the bench series, I'll get into that more deeply, but you want a bench that's got 3 feet. The FB 5000 is a great way to go. Living Fit makes a really good budget bench that's got the 3 feet. That's a great place to look as well. And if you want to buy the bench that's the right bench to buy, like we talked about buying the right rack last time, in my opinion, the best bench that any garage gym owner can buy for their garage gym is going to be the Rep Fitness AB 5200. It's not overkill, it's not underkill. In my opinion, it is the ideal bench for a garage gym, and it's just awesome. I love mine. It's really just a fantastic bench. It'll fit pretty much any size person. Super sturdy, super stable, really well made. Rep Fitness built its reputation on benches, and I don't think you can go wrong. Are there lots of other benches you can get? Yes. I wouldn't recommend going cheap though. I'm sitting on a major fitness bench that is not great. I'm looking at a RipFit bench, which is not great. You know, when you're looking at benches that are around $200 or $225, you don't need to spend that much more to go with a Rep Fitness bench. Even if you don't go with their AB 5200, anything in their lineup other than an FB 3000 is something that I would recommend. So get yourself a nice bench, get yourself a set of adjustable dumbbells. And then as for programming, here's where you can start getting into some grown-up programming, I call it, which is the stuff that they write for larger, more fully equipped gyms. You can even buy programming that's made for barbells and racks and just do those movements with your dumbbells. I can think of very few movements that you can do with a barbell that you can't do with dumbbells. You might not be able to deadlift as heavy. There's a couple other things that might be more easier to do with a barbell, but honestly, training with dumbbells is really going to build your muscles a little bit better, a little bit more well-developed and more well-rounded because it's going to work more range of motion for you, and they're going to be more versatile than a barbell by quite a bit. So dumbbells are something you're going to have for a long time. Bench is something you're going to have for a long time. As far as the programming goes, back to the Mind Pump guys, there's a program called MAPS Anabolic. It's their first program that they released. It's what they built their company on. It's very simple. If you get it, don't skip what they call the trigger sessions. It's the whole key to the whole program. But it's very basic movements that you could do with a barbell, that you could do with a dumbbell. I like to tell people to build what I call their training toolbox. And that's just a whole bunch of different tools that you can go in and use based on your training needs. And MAPS Anabolic is kind of like putting a hammer in your toolbox. It's something that I go back to pretty regularly. Even if I only do a few weeks of it, It's something that I find myself returning to over and over again, just because it's a nice fundamental foundational program. So something like that would be a really good option. But really a lot of their programs will work, but I'd start with that one. And then back to Living Fit, they actually have some dumbbell specific programs. So again, when I said if you subscribe to their programming for 15 bucks a month, now you buy some dumbbells, you don't need to buy more programming, you're already subscribed, you've got that programming right there available to you. You switch up from a kettlebell training program to a dumbbell training program. And I've looked at their programs, they're really well designed. But I know good program design when I see it, and that's a good set of programming to work from. All right, step 3, you've got your dumbbells, you've got your bench, you've got your minimal implements, right? It's time to start doing barbell work. But you're not gonna buy a cage. And the reason for that is you don't need a cage yet. What you're gonna do next is you're gonna buy yourself a set of plates, you're gonna buy yourself a barbell, and you're gonna buy yourself a post-mount landmine. So let's talk about those each independently. And we'll start with my favorite part, the barbell. You're gonna wanna start with one of 2 types of barbells, either a mixed-use barbell or a power bar. And the difference between those is basically a mixed-use barbell is going to be exactly what it sounds like. It's going to accommodate and do a good job at lots of different types of lifting. If you want to try some CrossFit movements, if you want to try some Olympic style lifting movements, if you want to do powerlifting, it's going to serve you pretty well for all of those things. And that's a great way to start. A lot of folks that I help build home gyms, that's the first barbell that I recommend that they buy. It's a barbell that's going to live in their gym for a long time, and it's something that you're going to enjoy, and you're not going to go, oh, I need a different kind of bar for this. Now, if you see yourself doing type of training that's just what's called powerlifting, which is just bench press, deadlift, squat, maybe some overhead pressing, and just doing, they call them the big 5 movements and some rows. So if you're just doing that, I think a power bar is the right way to start. And what a power bar does is a little bit more aggressive knurling so that you get better grip on the bar. The reason you don't want that more aggressive on a multi-purpose bar is some of those high velocity movements have you rubbing, especially the center knurl, which a lot of those mixed use barbells don't even have, but you'll find yourself, the knurling is gonna chew up your hands and other parts of your body on high rep stuff. But if you're not doing that high rep stuff, then a power bar is a great place to start. And that's gonna give you a lot more grip. It's gonna give you a center knurl that's gonna grip your back for squats, and it give you a couple other benefits. But you're gonna wanna pick one of those 2 bars to start off with. So which bars do I like? There's a million barbells out there. If you are on a budget, even though we're saving up over time, if you're still on a budget, going back to Living Fit, I just posted a review of their Cerakote barbell. It is a mixed use barbell, and it's really fantastic. For the folks I train here in the gym, it's one of their favorite bars. So it's a great bar. I think it runs $269, $279. If you want to spend a little bit less, they make the same exact bar in chrome, and it's like $189 or $199. So I don't know of any other barbell that you can buy at that price point that's that good. So that's a great way to start. Outside of that, I would go with one of a few different Rep Fitness barbells. Now, if you're gonna go with a mixed use, a little bit lower priced one is Rep Fitness's Black Canyon bar, or you go with their Colorado bar. Their Colorado bar is their flagship bar. Again, if we've been saving money to buy right, the Colorado bar would be a great place to spend your money. It's a little bit of an investment, it's a few $100, but man, that thing's gonna last you forever. You're gonna love the way that it feels, you're gonna love the fit and finish. And Rep's line of barbells, which they just introduced a whole new line like a year ago, they are stunningly good. They are so good that Rogue, which a lot of people like to buy those bars, actually recently started redesigning all of their bars. And I would bet my next 5 YouTube paychecks, which is about 73 cents, that Rogue did that because of Rep Fitness's bars, because the tolerances are so much better, the feel is so much better, they don't rattle around as much. But that Colorado bar is really nice. If you're gonna go the power bar route, I can't recommend enough their Black Diamond Power Bar. It's gonna be a nice bar. It's not super aggressive. They make something called the Double Black Diamond, which is really, really aggressive. I probably wouldn't buy that as my only barbell or my first barbell. I would start with that single Black Diamond. It's aggressive enough to be a nice powerlifting bar, but if you wanna do a few other things, it'll suit those uses well. What I would recommend on all of those bars is they come in all these cool different colors with these black sleeves. Just be aware that those black sleeves aren't gonna look all that nice after the first time you load plates. Personally, I prefer to go with stainless steel or even hard chrome. Either of those finishes is going to last longer than the cool colors, but the cool colors are nice. I've got some black diamond, double black diamond, the black diamond's in black, the double black diamond's in green. I'm not against the colors at all, but if you're buying a bar, I do like stainless steel a little bit better. But that's some ideas for barbells for you, and they're barbells that I know that you'll be happy with. Look, there's a ton of companies out there that make bars. If you got a question on one, either I probably reviewed it here on the channel or on the site, or pop me a question down below. I'm happy to let you know what I think of the bar. Lots of people make good bars. If you really want to pony up some money, go to American Barbell, and those are lifetime barbells that you will pass down to your kids. My favorite bars in my gym right now are the two American barbells right up top here. They're the ones I use the most, and if I was to start a gym again from scratch, they're the barbells that I would buy. But there's some ideas for some specific barbells to buy. As far as plates go, bumper plates will be the easiest to use if you don't have a rack, although you can go with iron plates. Now, there was a time when iron plates were less expensive than bumpers, and that is not the case anymore. So you can go with either one. The reason I like bumpers for training in a garage gym is, number one, you're not going to damage your floor. You don't need as thick of a flooring to protect your floor. And I like that they're all the same size. Being all the same size, they allow you to do some things that iron plates don't allow you to do. They allow you to do hip thrusts with lighter weights than 45s. They allow you to start your deadlifts at lighter weights from the same height off the ground. There's just a bunch of, I like to do, they keep you safe on floor presses. There's just a bunch of reasons I like bumpers. But there's a lot of guys out there who will argue to the death with me on that. They really like iron plates, and iron plates are cool too. You know, if you watch, for example, Pumping Iron, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, one of my favorite things is every time they show these guys in the gym, all you hear is iron plates clanging and sliding on and off bars. It's something cool about just using the iron, the feel in your hands. So I totally get it. They're not for me, but they are for a lot of guys. You can go either way and get great plates. So let me give you a few options of where to buy plates from if you're not going to buy used. If you're on a budget and you want bumper plates, again, boy, I sound like a broken record today, but Living Fit makes an awesome set of budget bumpers. They make a 370-pound set, which the company actually made based on my recent review. It's 3 pairs of 45s, 1 pair of 25s, 2 pairs of 10s, and a pair of 5s. That set will get you any weight you want to do. If you want to add some 2.5s and smaller, go to Micro Gains. That's Micro Gains with a Z. They'll make some really cool smaller plates. But really, if you just get that one 370-pound set, that's everything you're going to need for your garage gym for a very long time. There are very few people who are lifting 315, especially when you're first building your gym. And if you need to, you add a couple pairs of 45 down the road. But that 370-pound set, and that's the 370-pound V2 on their website, runs $700. You just can't get bumpers this good in that size set for that price anywhere else. Everybody else is going to be a few $100s more. But that's a great place to go for budget bumpers, and that's a great place to go just for bumpers, period. Now, if you want to get the best bumpers out there, the best bumpers are by Fringe Sport. I don't think that I'm out of line saying that. Everybody who reviews gym equipment, for the most part, will agree with me. Gluck over at Gluck's Gym actually did a review where he bought everybody's bumpers and cut them all in half. And Fringe Sport bumpers came out the best in his tests as well. You cannot go wrong with any of their bumpers. They make everything from basic black to these crazy Savage bumpers with these cool patterns on them. What you get for a little bit more with bumper plates is you get a little bit harder plate. You're going to get the writing on it's going to last a little bit longer. The plate's going to stay in form a little bit longer, actually a lot longer. And their 10-pound and 15-pound plates are made of a higher density rubber, so that if you drop them, if you step on them, if you abuse them or use them, which your plates are going to get used and abused, they're going to last a lot longer. They are more expensive though. That same 370-pound set's going to run you about $930 just for their basic set, what they call their contrast bumpers, which is what I started my gym with. But boy, you cannot go wrong with Fringe Sport bumpers or those Living Fit. So that's a couple of options for you. Again, does Rep make good bumpers? Yep. Does Rogue make good bumpers? Yes. Does Titan? Don't get Titan bumpers. But there's a lot of companies that make good bumpers. Again, if you have questions, pop them in the comments below. But those are the two that I would recommend for sure. Now for your landmine. What you want is you want a post-mount landmine. What a post-mount landmine is, if you're not familiar with the landmine is, it's this little, it's a very simple device. It's got one thing that keeps it's stable and locked down. It's got another end where you slot the barbell into it, which allows you to use the far end of the barbell and the leverage of that to do you can do presses, you can do rows, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. It really opens up a world of barbell training. And a post-mount landmine allows you to take 2 plates, set it on the ground, stick the landmine in the middle of the plates, and then use the landmine from there. So you don't need a rack. Usually landmines are attached to a rack for stability, and with a post-mount landmine, you're not going to have a need for a rack, and it's going to be a super versatile setup. And Having a bench, dumbbells, the basic implement or two that you started with, some plates, a barbell, and a landmine, you could train for a really long time. You could train for as long as you need to save up for whatever rack you want to buy down the road. And that's, the next step is that rack. But boy, if you do these few steps right and you look at those things, now as far as programming goes, you can do pretty much any programming you want. Again, I like the MAPS programs by Mind Pump. I'll just put a general link down below so you can take a look at all of them. You can start to do some of the John Russin programs that are out there. You can do the Athlete X programs. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but they are, as far as the content in them, they're wrapped up in a bunch of marketing and supplement sales and all kinds of crazy stuff and people who can't keep their shirt on. But other than that, the guy who runs the company is actually a really good trainer, so you can use some of his programs as well. And it opens up everything once you have a barbell. So hopefully that gets you started in those first few steps with the actual products that that you can buy, as well as the programming that goes along with. And step 5 is the rack. There happen to be 5 episodes on how to buy a rack on this really cool podcast called the GymCrafter podcast. And if you look hard enough, I bet you could probably find them. So I'm not going to spend any time here going over how to buy a rack or what you should look for in a rack, but that's probably your next step, is to buy a rack. And then after that, for me, it's specialty bars. I think every gym needs a trap bar. There's a trend online now, a bunch of people going around saying that you never want a trap bar. Those people are idiots. Buy yourself a trap bar and buy yourself an open back trap bar. I know Jake from Garage Gym Experiment the other day on one of his podcasts said, I'm not even sure why they make standard trap bars anymore, and I agree 1,000%. Get yourself an open back trap bar. I like Rep Fitness's, it's sitting right here. I also really like Fringe Sports, what they call the Midas open trap bar. It's a little smaller footprint. Either of those are going to do a great job for you. I love those bars. I also like to have a multi-grip bar. I have the multi-grip cambered bar from Rep Fitness, which I love. Between one of my barbells, probably my American barbell, and then those 2 specialty bars from Rep, that's 95% of my training that I do. I really think that all gyms in the end should probably have at least 1 straight bar, 1 neutral grip bar of some type, and then one open trap bar. If you want to throw an easy curl bar, I've got one of those up here too somewhere, but that's something. But those specialty bars open up down the road. But at that point, you've got your gym, you're working out, you know what kind of training you want to do, you've been able to identify the companies that you like working with, the types of knurling you like, the types of training you like, and boy, it's just the sky's the limit at that point. And that is how the people with the best gyms in the world have built their gyms, at least most of them. Now, some of them are very lucky, they win the lottery, they buy all that stuff at once, but I'm telling you, if you can wait and not eat the marshmallow right away, and you can wait and get more marshmallows down the road, you're not just gonna end up with 2 marshmallows if you build your gym this way, you're gonna end up with a whole bag of Stay Puffs. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man will come train with you, and you are gonna have an amazing home gym. And as I say at the beginning of every episode, that is the entire reason that I built GymCrafter.com, is to help ordinary folks like you and I build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And that's how I built this gym that I absolutely love, and that's how you're gonna build your gym that you absolutely love. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Did I miss a step? Are there more kind of smaller implements that you started with? Are there steps that I left out? What do you guys think about the recommendations? Are there more recommendations that you have for one of those steps? Did I just waste 45 minutes of your time? Whatever comment you have, let me know. I can take it. I'm a grown-up. And as usual, if you've watched this long, please hit that like button. If you're gonna buy something we talked about today, use those affiliate links. And like, share, subscribe, all that kind of social media stuff. It's always appreciated. It's what helps the channel grow. It's what helps me push this content to more people so that they can see it. And until the next podcast, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.